Welcome to Turned Out a Punk. I'm your host, Damian Abraham, and today on the show from the band Pennywise, Fletcher Drag is here. Fletcher is someone that I've known for a very long time. My brother, who is the show producer and guest booker extraordinaire, Tristan Abraham, and I interviewed him for our fanzine, Drunken Box Kicking, which never came out, way back when, at the second Warp Tour in Toronto. And from there, I interviewed him a few other times over the years. I've been on tour with him, run into him at shows, and developed a friendship with him. He's one of my favorite people to run into. Every time I run into him, it's always a little bit of an adventure, always full of great stories, and certainly a lot of laughs, as you will hear in a moment on the show. Fletcher is here for this conversation, of course, because there is a brand new tribute to Motorhead, Killed by Death, a punk rock tribute to Motorhead featuring lots of friends of this podcast, former guests, and the like. So pick that up wherever you purchase your records. I'll have links on where you can order it in the description below. You can get it from the Motorhead website and some other places. So pick this thing up. Also, if you are in the Orlando, Florida area, November 15th or 16th, the Warp Tour is going to be playing or being held in Orlando, and Pennywise will be playing that. So if you get the opportunity to go down and see it, who knows, maybe you'll be like me 20 years ago and wind up being on stage singing Bro Hymn with Pennywise. I also sang Bro Hymn on stage with Pennywise one time when they had Zoli singing, but anyway, this episode ends very abruptly, but I left it as is, and hopefully Fletcher will be back to finish the conversation at some point in the future, but I can't hold on to these things forever, so I had to get this out for you guys to hear it. Also, in the episode, I misidentify the singer of MSI as Derek Emerson. Derek, of course, played guitar in MSI and also runs the fantastic UXB Press that have put out, that Toronto Metal book, Eve of Darkness, the Toronto Hardcore book, He Hijacked My Brain. Anyway, that's Derek. The lead singer of MSI was Johnny Rankin. I got the Pennywise record from Derek there. This will make sense when you get to that part in the episode. I just had to correct the historical records because believe me, I know my members of MSI. The Toronto MSI. I don't know my members of the other MSI. But weirdly, I've played with the other MSI, and I've never played with the Toronto MSI. But I do recognize the vast superiorness of Toronto MSI. Anyway, this is not about MSI. Sit back, relax, and enjoy Fletcher on Turned Out a Punk. Fletcher, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Yes. Glad to be back. It's been a minute. When was the last one? That was years ago.
It was at that House of Vans. You guys and Sick of It All at the House of Vans.
Me and Craig, right?
Yeah, you and Craig. And it was
a fun one.
Oh, it was super fun. And I realized that you're actually one of the first people I ever interviewed. My brother and I did a fanzine, and we interviewed you at the second Warp Tour. And then I interviewed you a couple years later on a radio show I used to do. So this is actually our fourth interview.
Cool. I was probably drunk at least, three. Well, probably all of them, as a matter of fact.
If you were the coolest drunk I had ever been around, because
tell everyone else that.
No, you were like, it's gotten more terrifying as we've gone on in our experiences together when you've been drinking. But certainly those days you were like so cool to us as like little Punisher kids. Like you went above and beyond and kind of like, I think really set a tone for me on what a band should treat every person who comes to see them like.
I was definitely drunk, but yeah, I vaguely remember those first interviews, but I do remember the Craig one at House of Vans. But yeah, I mean, dude, we've always been, we know what it's like to start off in a garage and come out and, try to get an opening slot and come in your dress room and you have 2 waters in there and, a bag of stale chips or something. So we always tried to take care of the younger kids and just in general, anyone that's climbing the ladder, could use a break here and there.
Well, talking about starting out, going back to the very beginning, Fletcher, how'd you get into punk? From the first time you ever came across it?
Wow, it was probably like 78. I live in Hermosa Beach, or I lived in Manhattan Beach in those days, and there was a school, American Martyrs, like a Catholic school. I had a buddy who went there, my neighbor, actually, the guy I first started a band with, this guy, John Alds. We did this band, Con 800. But there was a band already playing, a punk band called The Last, and not a lot of people know about them, but they were like South Bay legends and the Nolte brothers, and they were at this Catholic school, which is pretty ironic. Everyone I know that went to that school turned out pretty fucked up, like wound up dropping acid and I don't know, going down the wrong path. So I'm not sure that that shit worked at an early age, that putting kids in uniforms in elementary school and shit. But yeah, so the last those guys, I don't know if they went to England or something, but they wound up bringing back a Sex Pistols cassette tape. And I had no idea they were. I mean, this was obviously before the internet and all that shit. And so started circulating around. It's a pretty bad recording and tried to get into it, but it didn't click with me. They, due to the shitty quality and just like not hearing anything like that. But that was kind of like I was trying to get into punk rock. It put it on my radar. I was listening to like Devo and the B-52s and the Flying Lizards and Oingo Boingo and shit like that. And then we had a local record store called Platypus Records, and walked in there and saw the Holiday in Cambodia Dead Kennedy single and was like, what the fuck is this? And the guy's, oh, you got to check that out. It's blah, blah, blah. I don't know exactly what year that was, whenever that single came out. And grabbed that single, obviously loved it. And at the same time, I had started listening to Rodney on the Rock on Sunday nights on K-Rock, which he was playing all kinds of just crazy cool shit. And we'd sit in our bedrooms, me and my brother, we had shared room, and we would listen to that like radio under our pillow because we get fucking busted by our parents. I think it was like 10 to 12 or 10 to 1 a.m. the show or something like that. And that whole time period right there was when I started getting into it, listening to it. And I'll never forget, like, Rodney had a demo by Bad Brains, who I'd never heard of, obviously. And it was Pay to Come on a demo, like probably a mediocre recording. And that I heard that and I just had like a physical reaction in my bed. I was just like moving and just like, what is this? And just because it was so gnarly and fast. And so, but I was already in, but like that just really hooked me. And I was like, this is my shit. So yeah, that's kind of how I rolled into it.
It's interesting because when you listen to the Con 800 stuff, you really hear that DC influence. Like I'd say more than even like it sounds more DC than Southern California. Lyrically, more
Yeah,
Southern California.
for sure. I mean, obviously we were in Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, South Bay, and we were, had Black Flag playing backyard parties, the Descendants playing high school dances, and playing on the Strand on 4th of July, and like circle jerks were down in here, the germs are floating around, and so the influences were right there. I mean, I had a lot of Greg Ginn influence, like tone wise, but I'm using a fucking whatever amp I could find on an MXR distortion pedal and whatever guitar I could steal or borrow. So I didn't have the luxury of having real amps back in those days. But when the DC shit started hitting, and especially Minor Threat, that Minor Threat album changed the game for me, man. It just like the guitar tone, although that guitar tone is not really that great, it's great. Like it's one of the best, I don't know, production wise albums, so raw but so focused at the same time, and just crazy. The balances, everything on it, and that one really clicked. So I was like, I always dubbed myself as kind of like Minor Threat speed and kind of like songwriting, but like a little bit of Greg Ginn tone, and that like kind of just sloppy, Ginn aggression, and then you throw some metal in there, throw some Pantera in there, and early Metallica and all that shit as well. And yeah, those are my things right there. But DC, man, that shit was legit. But I mean, obviously, can't argue with Dead Kennedys and Circle Jerks and the Germs. I mean, Germs, come on. So, yeah, it's now that you're mentioning it, it's pretty fucking rad. We had all that shit, and we got to like discover it in bits and pieces. You know, I mean, what do we know about DC? Our friend Kevin Salk went back there and hung out with Minor Threat and those guys and the whole crew, and came back with these records and shit. I mean, like people nowadays, these kids don't understand when you don't have the fucking internet, you're fucked. Like you're not fucked. Your exploration takes a lot longer. I was thinking about like the other day, I was putting my shoes on. It's kind of nasty, but like I had athlete's foot for like a couple months, and my feet smelled so fucking bad. I was like house parties, like passing out, and people would be like, "What the fuck is that smell?" It was my feet. I had no idea I had athlete's foot. You know, I had some craters on my feet, and my feet smelled. What you know, I'm not going to the doctor. I'm going surfing and skating. Like now, you just Google what the fuck is this? Oh, there's an image. You got athlete's foot. Put this on it, man. So the struggle was real back then. You know, everything trying to figure out shit on your own. I think that's why the 80s kids are different. They're built different. They're doers because they had to do. And now it's like, click here, read this, do this. It's like it's a free fucking pass. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting because also I've come to realize from doing this show, I think Keith Morris was the guy that really kind of put it succinctly. Kids from the beach were different because like these were outdoor kids, you know, and he kind of like used it to kind of contextualize a lot of the violence and sort of the rowdier hardcore stuff that came up after it kind of really hit the beach communities. He's like, because these kids were like used to surfing. These were not indoor arty kids. These were outdoor, like hard explorers.
Explorers. I mean, we were, yeah, it's a really good point because at that point, you know, I had grown up. I started skateboarding when I was 3 years old. My dad put me on a Black Knight skateboard, and you know, I was taking my lumps already. And then that rolled into. I mean, I was around when the first fucking urethane skateboard wheels came out, and I was like, "What is this? Like, you're not on rock wheels sliding and smashing yourself, and or metal wheels for that matter." But I remember putting a pair of Cadillac wheels on my board and making my first turn and going, wait a second, I didn't like wash out and slam. Like this is insane. So yeah, you're you're bred different. I mean, I tell like my nephews, like, when's the last time we had a dirt clod fight? And they're like, what's a dirt clod fight? It's like, yeah, there's no fucking vacant lots to have a dirt clod fight. We were building fires in vacant lots and doing, you know, 15-foot jumps on BMX bikes over fire. Dirt clod fights, you know, construction sites were like playgrounds for us. They had no fences up, jumping off the roof into the, you know, concrete sand mix, skateboarding backyard pools, surfing every day. And then you throw punk rock in there, and you already had this kind of, like you said, outdoor aggression. I mean, you go to school on your BMX bike, and you, on trash day, you know, do 45 kickouts and knock over every trash can on the way to school. Like you're jumping off curbs over trash cans. Like, so you were bred different. You were constantly broken, scraped, or scabbed up, or broken arms. And you throw punk rock in the mix, and it was kind of just like, I mean, I think I went to my first punk show at like 15, I guess it was. I can never get the math on it, but it was Wasted Youth. First show is Wasted Youth, the Chiefs, the Stains, Tia Soil and Adolescence. And like as a child, basically a 15-year-old, that was scary as fuck. I mean, it was a scary fucking show. Most of the guys were 18, 19, 25, 35. Big fight broke out, like on stage with TSOL, people getting punched in the face. And yeah, but like outdoor living right there, like you're in it. And so it just was a natural progression. Also with like the aggressive tone of the music, and you know, putting on the little ghetto blaster in the backyard pool that you drained with your friends with, you know, 3 trash cans and dried it off with your t-shirt. Like it just became a thing. So I think, yeah, that whole era is not going to be duplicated, and you're never going to have a discovery like that and you're never going to have like the intimacy of being part of something like that. Because now it's like 10 clicks later, you have every information. You've seen 20 shows. You have everything. You don't have to fight for it. There's no discovery now in a way. There is, but it's a very fast discovery and a not earned discovery, which is cool and not cool.
Yeah, it's definitely very different. And especially back then, like you look at, Henry going out with the Teen Idols guys and then seeing the Circle Jerks out in LA and then having that experience where they got kind of chased out of San Francisco after their show. But like they kind of saw this sort of like style of hardcore. And I think also Decline of Western Civilization had a lot to do with it. But this is like the type of hardcore that gets kind of exported around the world, like this version of what this thing is. And to this day, it's kind of like, we pit because that's what kind of was the development that was coming out of there at that time.
Yeah, I mean, circle pits, like we call out for them, but like they're kind of I don't know, they're not dangerous. Circle pits aren't dangerous. Like I always say, like that show last night was like a 1984 whiskey pit, and a whiskey pit was just like a fist fight. Like the whole floor was just a fist fight. A circle pit's kind of safe as long as you're going in the circle. I mean, me, I used to probably still do like get out there and run backwards to the pit and, take people out and get smashed because it just seems, better to be a little more physical. But yeah, like the LA scene was gnarly. And you had like the OC scene with like TSOL and adolescents, and those guys were fucking crazy. It was ultra violent. Like you go to the Cuckoo's Nest at a young age, 16 years old, 15, man, that was definitely scary territory. And then you go to Hollywood, pretty gnarly. And then some shows you would have OC punks and Hollywood punks going at it. And then the Valley kids would come in there. And it was definitely, between the cops and the hatred of punk rock amongst like parents and football players and jocks, like it was definitely a time period that you wouldn't forget if you were part of it. And it definitely set the tone. A lot of like style, like DC was jeans and button ups and t-shirts and skateboarding and totally cool. But LA was like, well, I mean, you had the Ramones back there and all that shit, that fashion. But LA was like chains, locks, boots, engineer boots were huge out here. And if you got into it with one of those guys, you're probably getting fucked up. The violence was pretty real out here.
I think it's even in like one of those DC history books. They talk about when they went out to that Circle Jerk show, saw the kids in the cruise, saw the guys with the spurs and the bandanas on their
spurs,
and their engineer boots, and they brought that back to DC for a while. Like they lifted that and were like wholesale influenced by that.
Yep. I mean, everything breeds everything, and I think now you got like a cool culture where you see about like Turnstile, people are bumming out that they're getting big and getting commercial, but like they kind of like, I hear a lot. I hear like Fugazi, I hear, Minor Threat, I hear Bad Brains, I hear all kinds of cool shit in their music. And that's one thing that is a benefit from all this cool shit that's happened in the last 40 years. Like people can get into it. I mean, if a 21-year-old gets into punk rock right now, here's Pennywise, then here's Offspring, then here's Bad Religion, and eventually gets to Minor Threat and, this, that, and the other. And then hopefully forms his own style of, for the future of what he's going to do. So it's cool to be part of that influence. It was really cool to be influenced as a kid. I mean, it's hard to describe to someone what it was like to walk down the street and have a pickup truck load full of football players jump out and chase you down the block and like give you a beating, and then get up from that beating feeling good that you got beat because you stood for something and you had a Black Flag shirt on and they didn't like Black Flag or you. And then you go tell all your friends, and then maybe later that week at a party, there's all those football players and you got 10 of your buddies and we're dusted or something along those lines. And man, I mean, let's say like if you borrowed a car and rolled it down a hill into the house party with the football players, that'd be considered a victory. So like that, it was just like I keep thinking about the word outdoor. Like, yeah, there was some outdoor activities going on back in those days, and man, I'm really grateful to have been part of it and grateful to have all the influence of not only the lyrical content, because that's a game changing life path that bands like the Dead Kennedys and the Circle Jerks put me on. Uh, but to be able to parlay that into actually playing in a band and taking all those influences of all those experiences and still be doing it 40, like, what is it, 45 years how long has that been? My
But
math's off. 46 years, I guess, being a punk rocker, if you want to call me that. But yeah, pretty fucking lucky.
well, and it's amazing that to be part of this culture where, yeah, for me, that Warp Tour, we helped Limo load in all your shirts. And then he
Uh,
gave my brother and I a backstage pass that we shared amongst our friends, and we got to go interview people. But later on that day, I'm on stage with you guys singing Bro Hymn. Just like what other kind of music would
right.
offer me that kind of opportunity? And then to be here years later where like Keith Morris is a mutual friend of both of ours. Like he's still part of it. Like we're still all in this thing. And like you're saying, like to have a moment where you get bands exploding, like you guys exploded, like Turnstile's exploding right now. You need those moments because you need to draw that next generation of kids in.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just going to be all of us aging out.
Good point. Like for the last, like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years, like, yeah, there's been a bunch of bands that have popped up, but it's like this hardcore resurgence, if you want to call it hardcore, because some of the bands being dubbed hardcore these days, I'm not really thinking that's a hardcore band. Won't mention names, but like a lot of people are jumping on that name bandwagon. But like, look at a band like Haywire. Been checking them out for a bit here. Like they like that just gives hope for the future for me because they're just they're raw, they're it's dangerous, it's like it's punk rock, you know what I mean? To me it's a I felt like we were kind of stagnating, and all of a sudden over the last like year 2 years all these bands are popping up, and people are going hard, and it's looking like punk rock versus like this safe, whatever. I won't name names again, but like bands that have come out of the scene that are just like not necessarily mediocre, but like the vibe is just controlled and commercially and trying to be successful and trying to, have a hit or trying to do the right things, where there's some new bands coming out that I think are not trying to do that. They're doing it because they want to do it their way. And that really gives me hope for the future. So yeah, I think there's always going to be lulls, but then you have these spurts of growth and newfound pathways. I mean, like Turnstile is a good example. Like I said, I know there's haters out there from that loved them in the early days, and it's just the same old thing. Any band gets commercially successful, then everyone's got to start hating on it because their little thing got taken away from them. But that band's progressed and is actually doing stuff to me that is so many influences in there, but is making it their own, And now you got a bunch of bands already biting their style, stealing their riffs, and trying to be the next Turnstile. But every once in a while, you get something that has taken enough elements and has kind of made it their own, where it's like, oh, I hear that, but this is original. So cool to the fact that we're still here, still influencing. They're going to be influencing, and just like you said, how many bands are you going to be on stage singing Broham like later after carrying the T-shirts in? That ain't happening at a Motley Crue show back in 1990 or
Or getting
a Kiss
stomped by
show.
security if that does happen.
You ain't even getting near. You're not getting near any of that. You're definitely getting a beat down, and that's the thing. Like the Warped Tour was so accessible. Kevin Lyman was so cool about. I mean, you sneak over the fence there, you fucking carrying a guitar, walk right by everybody like that. That shit was very accessible, and I think that's what punk rock's supposed to be about. It's about not not holding yourself above the fans. It's about being equals for the most part, and just like taking care of each other and letting everyone have a place and a space. And so yeah, it's a really cool scene to be a part of. I could have never been, a rock star with fucking hairspray, like in my little outfit, that I had to put on before the show, and my makeup, and just never. It's just too cool for school shit. It's just not real to me. It's just fake. It's what it is. It's rock star shit.
Going back to Con 800, you guys, I've heard, were part of the second wave of South Bay. Who were the kind of like the first wave of South Bay to you?
I mean, I wouldn't say Con was the second wave. I'd say it's the first wave, but we were so small. I mean, we started that band in like 81. So like Black Flag's like what, 78 to,
78, yeah.
up. And then, Descendants. So I guess you could call it the second wave if 3 years is a wave. But um we were just kind of right in that pocket. I think we kind of fit into that 78 through like 84, when stuff started falling apart and bands started breaking up, and nobody wanted to do punk rock shows because there was always riots because the cops were always coming in hot and starting problems up in Hollywood and anywhere else for that matter. We just had like a target on our backs for the media and the parents and everybody, that was normal, I guess. So um I mean, first wave would be Black Flag and Descendants and Germs and all that stuff. And then you had the Con 800s, and there wasn't really a lot. Like, I basically started Con 800 just because I was like, well, I'm going surfing in the morning, skateboarding in the afternoon. What am I doing in the evening? Drinking beers, listening to a tape player in the school fucking hallways, doing whatever, smoking whatever we were smoking. And it's like, well, this is kind of boring. Let's start a band so we can, throw parties and have a reason to do shit. And then that went on for a while, and then everything kind of fell apart, and a lot of bands tried to like go down the heavy metal road, like the rock and roll road. I mean, you could probably name a few. I won't. Some of our favorite rock stars started playing in like full rock bands, which is fine. Like, it just like punk rock was kind of falling off, and no big deal. I mean, I actually liked a lot of them, but I was like, damn, where's the punk rock? And I was bored. So that's why I started Pennywise. I was like, I'd been jamming with different people in different iterations and stuff, but I was like, I'm going to start something, not going to give up, going to go until we get to go on tour. Cause, Con 800 never went anywhere except like LA. And I was like, we got to do something, get the fuck out of South Bay and go to Arizona and get in a van. And it was basically started out of necessity because there wasn't any shows happening, or not enough shows. And so we turned that into backyard parties, and that's how we like made our bones. Was, hey, I'd buy a keg of beer and be like, hey, there's a keg party on 217 fucking whatever Crest Avenue, and spread the word. And then all of a sudden 200 people will show up because they heard it was free beer, and we'd be back there, and we might only get like, you know uh 2 or 3 or 5 songs off. So we knew, play fast, don't take a lot of time between songs, bust them out and go until the cops come, and or the fight breaks out. And we did that for years, man. It was just literally like hardly any shows ever, like proper gigs. It was just backyard parties, mayhem. And by the time we were ready to play like a show, or we got an offer or secured something, we had like 300-400 people coming to these backyard parties. It was like legendary status. And then we had like these Fourth of July parties where I would roll around in my Strand Cruiser and find an unsuspecting house. Like, what are you doing on the Fourth down on the Strand? And what do you mean? I got a band. Oh, really? What do you play? Just rock and roll covers, like just the usual. What do you need? Power outlet? I'll buy a keg of beer. Fuck, bring it. And then, Iron Man, which was run a mile, paddle a mile, drink a 6-pack without throwing up for, hold it down for 15 minutes, was this already legendary kind of rebellious thing. And there was like 300 to 500 people at that. So it's like, hey, Pennywise is playing 3 blocks down. And, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever, here comes 300 drunk people. And in this dude's front yard, hit the first note and fucking mayhem breaks out. I mean, you've seen the videos on the home movies, just complete debauchery. And then the cops show up and break it up. I mean, I think I got arrested twice at those things. I mean, cops would roll in, just pull out their fucking flip knife and cut the extension cord and be like, party's over. And it was just, man. So those things became pretty legendary. I think one of them was probably like 2,000 people, and they were on. It's an insane photo from above. They're on every neighboring front porch, on the hoods of cars, on the roofs of cars, on roofs surrounding this vacant lot. Like, that was just, the cops couldn't even stop it. I mean, like, we had hired like security to make sure no one came in from behind, and cops came in, and man, when that place emptied, it was just complete fucking wreckage. I remember telling the cops one time, just let us play Bro Hymn, because we knew them all. Like, and I had a deal like 7 songs. I eventually like 7 songs and we'll stop. And I remember like turning around one time and there was a cop with his head behind my amp and he's like, one more. And I was like, okay. But yeah, it was just that was crazy. One time I was like, guy cut it with the knife. I'm like, can we just play Bro Hymn? There's like 900 people here, and then we'll leave, and we'll help clean up all the trash. All right. Literally wired the extension cord back together, bare wires hanging out, and played Bro Hymn, and everyone left. And there was like 3 cars that were just completely smashed. Like, there must have been like 15 people on each car. And as the crowd parted, I just saw like a Mercedes. He's all, you going to clean that up too? And I go, oh shit. Hopefully he's got insurance. He's all, you motherfuckers. And it was like the cars were just, standing room only. So get up on the bleacher seats. So yeah, we had some good times. And that's like basically why Pennywise started. And then by the time we were able to go play like a Shrine Auditorium or a Whiskey, we had this huge following from the South Bay, and they would just come in, take over. And it was pretty ugly. Ask Paul from Golden Voice, Paul Tollett, how he liked those first shows. He was not happy because we had this crazy crew of maniac. Half of them are fucking convicts already and gangsters, and they're just rolling through Hollywood and wherever, just smashing everything in their way. So those first shows were pretty mayhemic, but pretty legendary. And there was too much violence for sure, but definitely made our mark, and then just kept on rolling. Like, accomplished that goal of leaving the South Bay and getting in a van eventually and getting on Epitaph Records. And, here we are 38 years later or something like that. Like, I think we're celebrating like the 34th anniversary or 30 something anniversary of our Blue album on Epitaph. It's like, what? And I mean, like, I feel like it was yesterday. It's like, I'm still having fucking a blast. We just did Costa Rica and Colombia for the first time, and fucking couldn't have been better. Mayhem, just raging, just like, oh, cool. We can still do this.
Yeah, because I hear a lot from bands that the scene, just because of the violence and everything, just kind of dies out around 84, 85. There's like a real exodus, it seems, from the scene, and that you guys are kind of like the first band to really, I guess there's stuff kind of consistently going, but like it's you guys that are really the first band that's part of that next wave.
Yeah, I mean, Bad Religion was one of the bands that kept it going.
But they went back to they went to the unknown for a while and then had to come back to the known, right?
Suffer was the one. Like, while Pennywise was out there doing our first stuff, Suffer came out. I went in a record store and I was like, what is this? He's all, it's a new Bad Religion. Well, Bad Religion doesn't have a new album. So yeah, it's right there. I went home, put that on the turntable, vinyl, of course, before CDs. And it just fucking blew my mind. I started calling everybody, dude, get over here. And that became like 22 minutes. That was 2 listens on the way to Hollywood in the car, 2 listens on the way back. Like, it was like life fucking blood. And we were already writing songs along those lines as Pennywise. And so the natural progression was to call Brett eventually. But yeah, we were clawing our way as a new band. There wasn't a lot. I heard there was the people straggling around. Down by Law was popping instead. But like Circle Jerks were gone at that time. Like Dead Kennedys, I think, were gone. Like a lot of bands were broken up or on hiatus. So we're like, no, we want to be back in this. We want to start this again. And then Bad Religion Suffer took off, and we were able to piggyback some of that. And then No Effects popped up. And, if us and No Effects played like a club show back on a Thursday night in Hollywood, we'd have like 80 people, and it'd be crazy. And it would be raging. And we'd play Coconut Teasers with Green Day opening for us. My buddy brought a Green Day single in the bathroom, and he's like, "Fuck, that band was good, man." And you don't want any band to be good that's playing underneath you. And you definitely, these guys are going to be big. And I said, "Let me see that." I broke the single in half and threw it in the urinal. I said, "Fuck those guys, they're not better than us, So I guess they were, or at least they're bigger than us. But yeah, like Coconut Teasers on a Friday night or Tuesday, whatever, pay to play type shit. Like, we'd have like 150 people literally with like Green Day and Dag Nasty and Pennywise playing. Like there was nothing. There was no one. Like, I mean, I saw Suffer at the Anti Club, 200 people. Like insane show. But like, yeah, and so that was like, let's bring this back. There's relevant shit happening. And it's slowly started to crawl. And, the Vandals were like, "Oh, we're back. We got, we're doing our thing. Let's hop in here." And it'd be like Vandals, Pennywise, No Effects, Strung Out or something. And there's 800 people. And then you're like over here. We were talking about it last night. Uh, After our first album came out, I think it might even have been Unknown Road. We played the Shrine Auditorium, and it was 3,000 people, and we sold it out. And the opening band on that show was fucking Korn. Fucking Korn, bro. Like that just got slipped in by like a booking agent. We were talking about Korn last night. My wife and her friend were like, "Yeah, we used to go to every Korn show, and their resurgence is they're kicking ass, and I'm all fucking opened for us." Like they were probably got $250 or 200, and it was like Korn, Cadillac, Trance, The Offspring, Pennywise or something, and it was like 3,000 people.
What a weird bill. Holy
right.
shit.
Like, well, like back in those days, your booking agent's like, "Hey, this band Korn wants to play," and you're just like, look, could do a favor for this other agent, and you're like, "All right, fucking throw them on. Are they cool?" Yeah, and like you have no idea. I don't even know what they sounded like back then. Like maybe they didn't even sound like Korn, but
Well, they used to be like a more Red Hot Chili Peppers vibe band called like LAPD. They were on Triple X records in like I think late 80s, maybe.
yeah.
Did you guys ever play like the country club or the anti club?
Oh yeah, Anti Club. Fuck, dude, that was our home away from home. Like, I mean, that was a crazy place because I mean, literally, I was there like once a week or some shit. Like Ren and Helen. Helen was the owner, Ren was the daughter, and I used to climb over the back fence. But like our local boys, Circle One gang, ran that club. They were self-appointed security, and I obviously always got along with those guys. But like some of our friends, that came from like Hermosa and shit, had beef with them at times, and a lot of the nights would wind up like bloody fist fights, like pretty bad ones actually, out in the street. And when we would play, it would be like them up on stage doing security. And we're like, we don't want security. Like, there's no barricade. The stage was 3 feet high. But yeah, we must have played there like Penny probably played there like 5 or 6 times. We played there with all open for us there. I'll never forget. Like I think Stefan was doing yoga in the back or something before the show. "What are you doing?" Or maybe it was Carl. "What are you doing?" He's like, "Yoga." "What the fuck is that?" "Drink some rum. Let's go." But yeah, no, that was good times. And Country Club, I think we played at one time. But I mean, obviously, I saw everybody from Gorilla Biscuits to Danzig. I mean, I saw a ton of shows there, but it wasn't really my stomping grounds because it was out. It was a little bit deeper for me. But yeah, Country Club was cool. Maybe played there once.
How long after Pennywise gets together did you guys put out that first Theologian 7-inch? It's like
Oh,
88, I think it comes out.
yeah, I think it was definitely a couple of years. So we must have started in like 86 because we had a different singer. This guy Keith Brown was the first singer, and this guy Hanky, who's been in like War Called Peace and um, a bunch of other bands that he's jammed with over the years. And he was the drummer for Con 800. He was the original Pennywise drummer. Me and him kept it going since like 80, 81 or whatever. And then he left. We got Byron. Keith left, and it was just me, Byron, and Jason. We were just playing backyard parties and doing all the local shit, writing songs. And we probably had like 25, 30 songs at that point. And then we found Jim, tried out Jim. We're like, holy shit, this guy's good. He came in and just like, here's the song, here's how it goes, and here's the lyrics. He just started singing, and we're just like, oh fuck, this is a gold mine right here. This guy's insane. And shortly after getting him in the band, like I said, we already had a bunch of songs. So it was kind of like, hey, let's go record this shit. Radio Tokyo, where Descendants had recorded, it was a house in Venice. We're like, okay, because that's what you look to. Like, well, where was this recorded? Who did this? What was the producer? And yeah, I think we borrowed $500 from Jason's dad. I printed the album covers, cut them with scissors, folded them, and glued them. The first 500 are hand glued in my living room. The first test pressing is in the Punk Rock Museum. I had the test pressing, and I framed it for the museum, and I did this whole like the original artwork, the original fucking artwork for that record in this nice big frame thing with glass, and left it in my truck for a couple hours, and the fucking sun hit it and melted the vinyl, dude.
Oh no.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So if you ever go to the museum and you see that little display, look at the fucking test pressings melted. Smart. I guess they have a thing you can fix it. So I just left it there. I was pretty bummed, but like that's just par for the course with me, destroying everything I own. So
It's funny because I had a second press for years of the single, and then a couple years ago at a record swap, Derek, who used to sing in a band called MSI, found in his house a box of records that he traded way back when. So I got a first press finally, but like right out of the box, dead mint.
That's crazy, dude.
Oh, I couldn't believe it.
That's got to be folded and Elmer's glued right there. That's a real deal. And those things I've seen those things go for like thousands of dollars now.
Well, there's only 500 of the first press, right?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, only 500. Only 500 hand glued. It was pretty funny. But yeah, that original artwork, man, got somehow the guy that printed it, Ken Seaton, he held onto a lot of our shit because, like I said, like I was always moving, and I'm the kind of guy that like throws everything out the window drunk, just like this doesn't mean anything. And band gear, records, fucking, I'll probably burn my gold record at some point. But yeah, like that's a little piece of history right there. Pretty cool.
How long is it after that single comes out that you guys start kind of hitting the road, I guess, outside of Los Angeles?
The single, I don't remember how quick that happened. I think we got to go to like iguanas in Mexico at some point. We went to Arizona and played like a skate park show on like they had a stage, a big half pipe and shit. And Bakersfield, like some just van trips, like 3-5 hour van trips, and eventually that we just kept doing that kind of stuff. We might string a couple shows together. Didn't get on any tours, and then we got Europe thrown at us pretty quick with the Blue Album on Epitaph. Like right when Dave Pollock, Destiny tour booking, heard that he threw us there, or offered us to go to Europe. We went over there and did that, and that was a game changer. That was like 6 weeks in a van or a UPS 1968 Mercedes UPS truck converted that did like 60 miles an hour. You had fucking Porsches coming by at like 180 on the Autobahn. That shit was scary. And we're putting along over there, maybe 55, no trailer, all the gear, all of us on one mattress in the back, and then that parlayed into Unknown Road. Right when that record came out, we went and did our first like U.S. band tour proper with good old Tim Chunks. Like that, those are the days where like you got a couple names and you're like, so this guy's good. He's gonna drive and tour manage and do guitars. Yep. And this guy's gonna do sound. Okay. I remember we pulled up to Hollywood, picked this dude up on the corner of Sunset or Melrose and the 101. He hopped in. I'm Tim. We're like, all right, let's go. And just fucking never met the guy. Talked to him on the phone for a half hour. And there we go. A month across the US in a van with no trailer because no one knew about trailers back in those days. All the merch, all the gear, 6 dudes, no AC, no fucking windows, cargo van, and just go. And like brutal. You couldn't do that at fucking 59 years old. You could try, but it's gonna hurt. But at like, 26, 27, let's go. Taco Bell, Top Ramen, Budweiser. So yeah, that was kind of like, and after that we had a couple more van runs and then got on a bus. Bus was just more efficient, no hotel rooms. You just sleep on the bus and I hated it, man. I remember that first getting on that bus, I felt like I was just betraying the punk rock gods by being on a tour bus. And I remember the first fucking show on the bus was Santa Cruz, the Catalyst. And I remember getting off the bus going, fuck that thing, man. I fucking hate this. This is not punk rock. Walked in and there was a fucking barricade. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I called our booking agent, well, I'm not fucking playing. Get this fucking thing out of there. And insurance policies, blah, blah, blah. What a fucking nightmare. And that's kind of how we got into the whole fuck this barricade, fuck the bouncers. We're not backing this shit. So we would try to force the bouncers out of the barricade, and then it would just be a free for all. The kids would come over the barricade, fill in the gap of the barricade, and there'd just be like a regular punk show. But we got kind of a bad rep for like fucking with security guards. I mean, we were cool to them unless they were beating kids coming over the barricade, and that was the thing. Like, get in the barricade, you're getting a beating in those days. And so we weren't having that. So we've had a lot of stories about fighting with security guards literally, and a lot of like overrunning barricades, overrunning stages over the years. But yeah, I mean, we tried to keep it as punk rock as we could with barricades and tour buses. So
When you were on that first tour, what kind of bands were you playing with? Like, because you like a few years later, there's so many bands that are following in your footsteps, but like early on,
dude, Circle Jerks were opening for us. Blasphemy. You know what I mean? Because they had like fallen off, and all of a sudden, like when this like punk rock was only like this big, and then Suffer, and then like NoFX Pennywise, and it just started creeping up, and then like all of a sudden, like Burning Heart Records in Sweden's like Satanic Surfers, no fun at all. Like worldwide, that Epitaph thing started catching on, and all of a sudden we're selling 100,000 records, and Circle Jerks had sold like 30,000 or 50, whatever the number was. And they're like, can we go on tour with you? And like we felt bad, but like if they were to close the show, a bunch of Pennywise fans that didn't know about Circle Jerks or weren't educated would leave. So I mean, it was an honor to play with them, but like we were literally touring with like Circle Jerks, and like I mean, we had like Strung Outs and Lag Wagons, and we had like all the Epitaph bands. Offspring, like Offspring was opening for Pennywise for $250 a night, like full nationwide tour. They had a Holiday Inn school bus converted, and you know, uh, it was fucking awesome. And the it was kind of like we had our pick of the litter. We played shows with the Rancid, we played shows with the Vandals, we played shows with NoFX, and then 7 Seconds, or maybe some 7 Seconds. They might have been gone for a minute. Youth Brigade, like just whatever. There was all kinds of shit.
I think it was also the fact that you guys were always putting over the Circle Jerks or like taking Joy Killer on tour and talking
Yep,
about
Joy Killer,
TSOL. That
TFL.
that for me as a young kid, like when you're, like you're saying earlier, like there's no internet to find this stuff out. So you kind of relied on the bands giving you the history a little bit. And that's where I got into the circle jerks from, was like, I think there was an interview where you got interviewed by Keith Morris, or you might have interviewed Keith Morris. I remember getting in a magazine, and that
Yeah.
was like, okay, circle jerks. That's the next thing I got to find.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of any music scene is like you get one like if you come up on Offspring, you're getting to Pennywise. If you come up on Bad Religion, you're getting Offspring. If you get to Pennywise, you're getting a Minor Threat and so forth. So it's very cool. You can go down that path of discovery and be like, oh my God, look what I found 20 bands later. This is the best that connects with you. And everyone, music connects differently with everybody, It's like Pennywise might be the first band you heard, but when you get to Authority Zero, they're your favorite band. So that's what's cool about this scene.
Do you remember when you first ran into the East Coast hardcore stuff that was also kind of exploding around that?
I mean, obviously you already had like Bad Brains and Minor Threat, I mean, and Ramones and all that stuff like early on.
I mean, well, like New York stuff, more like Madballs, like Give It All, and all that kind of wave of
Yeah,
stuff.
it was all filtering in. I remember I have told this story 100 times. Like we East Coast and West Coast apparently had beef, you know what I mean? And I never understood why, but like it was this once again, not really internet shit happening, and you're just like, oh, these guys. And I mean, I'd seen like Sick of It All and Agnostic Front probably at shows out here, and there'd be these bands coming out that were touring with each other, or sometimes a West Coast band would put an East, like we used to put Sick of It All on our shows all the time. So they'd come out here and get our West Coast crowd, and we go back there and get their East Coast crowd. It's like, hey, let's help each other out here. Still happens to this day, but I remember a European festival. This fucking Italian promoter put this fest on called East Coast versus West Coast, and it was like versus. It was like, fuck, what is this? Like this is going to be bad. So there was like Pennywise, Lagwagon, Strung Out, blah 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 blah, and then like fucking Agnostic. I think it was Sick of It All, and maybe Madball. I can't remember the lineup. And going in there, it was like, we're gonna have to fight these guys. Like, what the fuck is this? And I was just like, it was pretty like it got hyped up. Like, there's gonna be a problem here. And I remember getting off the bus and like, well, let's just get this over with, and like walking backstage, and there's like Sick of It All. Hey, what's up? And Fletcher, hey, what's up, Fletcher? And couldn't be fucking nicer. And like there was no tension, there was no beef, there was no I remember Avail one time they were talking shit on the Warp Tour. We heard they were talking shit about West Coast bands and Pennywise and shit. And I was like, first day I heard it, and I was like, oh, let's go fucking handle this. Rolled over them all. What's up? Is there a problem? Like, heard you guys are fucking running your mouths or something about Pennywise. Like, we got a fucking issue? Huh? I'm like, we got an issue? Let's fucking handle it. We got like 5 weeks of this shit. Let's fucking get this done. I think it was after Bo, because Bo was the shit talker. And no, man, it's all good. Are you sure? You sure? Yeah, we're sure. Okay, let's barbecue. So, but like that Italy show kind of was like where we bonded, and we like met a lot of these guys, and it was totally fucking cool, and it was totally overhyped, kind of like the rap fucking beefs, and yeah, like it was like, oh, these guys are great, the bands are great, and I mean, East Coast to me is double gnarly West Coast. Like DMS guys, like they're gangsters and they're fucking they run shit. Like they're real deal. Like New York's just a tough city. East Coast is just tougher. I mean, we got the surfers, we got the fucking skaters, but like, and we got tons of bloodshed and violence out here and gang shit. But I just feel like those guys are just got a little more edge, and I've always had respect for them as far as how they run the program, and they're like really tight knit people, and I mean, obviously there's been their beefs here and there with each other, but all of them are super respectful and just good people and take care of each other. So it was really cool to become cool with those guys. Murphy's Law, dude. Like we took them out a bunch of times, and like Jimmy Gestapo, come on, the guy's a fucking god. Like he's one of my favorite humans on the fucking planet. So, and poor Lou right now dealing with cancer, but like the Sick of It All guys, all those guys, Vinny. Uh, I haven't really partied with Roger, hung out with Roger much. I bumped him here and there, but Madball guys, obviously, to this day are just cool as fuck. Just we played a show with them over in Barcelona and hanging out with Freddie a bit, and just good people, man. Good people, good music.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that I've talked to have like a preconceived notion of what you guys are going to be like, and obviously your legend precedes you a little bit and stuff. But I mean, just like I think there's a perception there's going to be some sort of attitude, and there are certainly members that are more approachable than others in your band, but like I've never really ever encountered any sort of rock star attitude. And like the treatment that a rock star gets from Pennywise is probably sometimes the worst treatment that anyone can get. Like I remember you hunting for Jared Leto pretty hard on Sound one year.
Yeah. That was our drummer was like, "You better not fucking touch him. You better not beat him up." I'm like, dude, he's doing fucking yoga in the airport, like at the gate. He's got to get beat up, in a fucking smock or whatever they fucking wear. And I mean, like, I don't know the guy, but I'm friends with the drummer, and I was like, I'm not going to beat up Jared Leto, don't worry. But like, definitely, rock stars are straight up targets. For me, like, you ain't special. And if you, like, Gavin's coming down the hallway, everyone get back in their dressing room, no eyes on the fucking hallway. It's like, shut your fucking mouth. Like, Bush, like, fuck you. Now I'm in the middle of the hallway with a fucking Pringles can full of rum. Come get me. Like, we have had so many beefs with rock stars. Because why are you a rock star? What makes you better than an average human being fan like, you are? I mean, you're a rock star now, but, it's kind of like fucking, yeah, no. I mean, you'll definitely catch me drunk doing things that are going to be not perceived as the greatest, throwing a refrigerator out a window or throwing up on somebody or biting somebody in the shoulder, whatever, all the dumb shit I do. It's all in good fun mostly. Sometimes people do get hurt. Shooting people with BB guns, I mean, isn't that what you do when you're a kid? You shoot your friend. First time you get a BB gun, you shoot your fucking friend. Why wouldn't I bring an automatic BB gun on tour and fucking shoot people? That's what you do when you're 12 years old, right? Or 9, right? So, yeah, reputation precedes, but I think everyone that knows us that we're just down to have a good time, throw a party, make everyone feel like they're part of the party. And, young bands get treated with as much as respect as the circle jerks. And if you come in and think you're cool, then we're going to take you down a couple notches. And if I'm drunk, I'm going to take you down like 10 notches probably.
And I've also seen you get more hurt than anybody sometimes at these things. Like once again in Australia, that Bronx set.
Self-inflicted, yeah. Self-inflicted. I mean, yeah, just trying to. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'll get shit for like cutting myself up at like age 55, 58, or whenever the last time I did it. I'm like, I get in trouble, blood on the bus, maybe, this, that, and the other. And it's like, I'm not allowed to have knives on the bus anymore. Like, I'm a bad knife owner. But it's like, sorry, I was raised on Sid Vicious and G.G. Allen and like all the others. Like, I don't know. I thought blood was part of the punk rock thing, So yeah, the Bronx thing was pretty ugly. I saw a video of that recently. I've never seen the video. I mean, never seen the video. I've seen some pictures and I was like, fuck, man. Like, those guys deserve a fucking award. I'm like bear hugging Matt, covered in blood. Like, he should have ran, and he hung out and he fucking tolerated it. So, I mean, he's one of my favorite people on the planet, one of the best singers on the planet. He knows I think that. One of the best bands on the planet. And after I saw that video, I was like, whoa, he gets like 10 more gold stars. Like the fact that, but the mission was accomplished. Like the media picked it up and the Bronx got a lot of coverage because of that. That's what was my goal, was these guys need to be on the fucking map. I mean, they were on the map, but yeah. Yeah, 80 stitches later. I remember I saw you in the airport and you were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "What? Are you okay?" And I was like all concerned. I was like, "Yeah, why?" Like, "Oh, well, last night was pretty heavy. Just 80 stitches later and a little bit of bloodshed." So yeah, not the best behavior on the planet, but got to keep it somewhat punk rock. I mean, shit, no one throws TVs out of the 10th story of the Hyatt anymore, so I might as well just take it out of my own body, right? The scar comes in handy because when people are like, dude, you're still on the bottle, huh? I'm like, yeah, dude, I got a liver transplant. I'm good for like another 10 years. They're like, what? And I pull my shirt up and they're like, yeah, give me a fucking new liver, a big one. And they're like, oh, are you fucking drinking on it? I'm like, why wouldn't I? It's like a fucking fresh lease. And people get so confused. It's like the equivalent of a pregnant chick smoking and drinking fucking vodka or something. But it works pretty good. Gets a couple smiles. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I was definitely concerned about you because we had hung out so much on that tour, and like you're a guy who has two very distinct sides, like a very loving like guy that I think would protect the smallest animal at that point, but then
Yep,
also like
yep.
this other side that gets unleashed sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. The yin and yang, the devil. I call it the line. The red line. I crossed that line, and kind of nobody's telling me to come back. No one's getting me back. I mean, it's cops fucking coming at me like, you know what? You're getting it too, motherfucker. And then 5 tasers later, they got me handcuffed. But yeah, like that's a dangerous zone. I mean, still like, yeah, that's a pretty dangerous zone. It's not proud of it, but I'm trying to keep that under control. But I mean, that's the problem. Like if you're drinking, which I'm still drinking less, but more moderately. But when you get to that point and you cross it, a lot of people like me, there's just no turning back, and it's like temporary insanity switch comes on, and you've seen it. So it's I mean, I'm not out to hurt people, you know what I mean? But sometimes when you lose control, you can hurt people inadvertently. So yeah, not proud of some of the things, but hey, we're not perfect, right?
Well, and you look what happened with John from Circle One, right, with the cops
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything too, right?
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't been. I've had a lot of cop guns to my heads over the years, and um, usually pretty cooperative. But if I'm wasted, like Denver Warped Tour, when they came in, and I was just like, "Fuck it, I'm getting this guy." And I came in swinging, and he already had the taser out, and he got me right in the heart, which stopped me dead in my tracks. But I didn't go down. And then I'm a motherfucker. And then I tried to rip the barbs out, and he got me again. And then down to my knees, got me again. Then get on your fucking stomach, and got on my stomach and got me again. They were dug in deep. But I told the sergeant, he goes, how are you, when they came down to like the paramedics got to take those barbs out and stuff. And I was like, I fucking love it, man. I used to be an electrician, fucking more. Thank you, sir. May I have another? He's like, all right, you're going to jail. So yeah. I mean, it made for a good story. I was out by fucking noon the next day, but you know, yeah, I don't know, punk rock. What are you gonna do? This isn't country western, but then again, country western guys get pretty fucked up too. So
Sure. I remember you telling me actually that last time we did the podcast, like this is part of your punk rock experience because you were saying the first time you saw Rollins sing for Black Flag, he attacked you.
yeah, it was one of his first shows. It was, I can't get it straight if like the house party in Carson was his first show with Black Flag in California, or the Cuckoo's Nest. They were like back to back nights, I think, or a couple days apart. But yeah, he kitchen party, and it was Subhumans from Canada, Descendants, and Black Flag, I believe, was Descendants on that one. And like I couldn't believe it actually all went down like in a kitchen, like the size of this living room, like there's the bar, and like Black Flag's playing right here, and it's like, what the fuck? And there was no room for a pit, you know what I mean, really. But there was, 50 people crowded around him, and one of my buddies pushed Henry down, and he fell over Chuck Stamp and put his head through the wall. And for some reason, when he got up, he thought I did it, and I was sitting on like the bar right there, and he came up and screamed, "It's all my imagination. I got a gun on my back," and just started beating me in the head with the microphone. I was like 16, frying on mushrooms and drunk. And like that was not a good experience at that point. I rolled off onto the oven in the kitchen, and I was so tripped out. I went over to the kitchen window and climbed out, popped out the glass, and climbed out the window and went in the backyard to try to like fucking figure out what just happened. Like frying on mushrooms, not cool. And then I made my way back inside, but it was definitely a story. And then the cops broke it up, and Earl Liberty came running out the back, and I saw him jump from the bass player from the Circle Jerks, jumped over a wall, and that fucking next house was like 20 feet down. It was a hill behind. He broke both his legs. Fucking gnarly. But like we were just trying to get out of there without getting killed by the police at that point. And then I'm pretty sure the next night was Cuckoo's Nest with Rollins. I think we have his T-shirt from that show in the museum where his mom had wrote his name on the tag, or stitched in like Henry on the tag, like a dirty white T-shirt. But yeah, it's a fucking good weekend, man. Rollins' first shows was Black Flag in a fucking kitchen. Pretty rad.
And I love the Canadians of Humans. They're one of my favorite bands.
God, slave to my dick. Not to use bad language, but whatever. That's fucking, those guys ripped. God. Really good shit. Are we supposed to talk about Motorhead at some point? What time is it? How long we got?
We got as long as you want. Like I can talk to you forever. So
but I have another interview at 10 o'clock. So what?
So it's past 10 now. So we probably should go.
Oh shit! They're gonna kill me. Well, we better talk about Motorhead.
I'll talk about. I do an intro and for the podcast, so I'll talk all about the compilation on that. But
you want me to call you back, and we could do a little Motorhead thing? Because I definitely want to.
Yeah, if you want it, like I'd love to. Yeah, anytime you want to talk, Fletcher. So this link is still good. So when like I don't know, an hour.
Okay, I got this interview that I'm missing right now, and then I got something, but like maybe later this afternoon or in the next couple. I actually should probably call you back later this afternoon if I can, just if that works for you later.
Yeah, like I still have your number. I'll just shoot you a text.
Okay, cool, bro.
Awesome, buddy. Thanks, man.
But wait, okay, one last. You're gonna ask something you forgot.
No, I got questions for days for you, so don't worry. Okay. When we get back on, I'll punish you with all that. All right, talk to you in a sec, man.
All right, bro. Thank you. Over and out.